Finally this year I got the 2024 Artist of Life Workbook, the actual physical copy. I've learned that the physical copy works a lot better for me, but also my motivation in making this video not at the end of the year and more in the quarter of the year, because we've already gone through January, February, and March, and I just wanted to show how I have done it. Because I've seen from my prior videos of people actually struggling a lot with actually filling out, not filling out the first part, but filling out the actual committing to the quarters and committing to filling out the actual monthly habits and all the sections of the months. And I know that I struggled a lot with that in the past as well. That's something I've personally struggled with. So I've made a commitment this year to try to fill out all of them, and so that was my goal for quarter one as well. And I just wanted to say that in order to accomplish that, I'm not a diligent, I'm not a habitual person. I'm actually an individual that likes to go more in the flow, and I prefer just going in the flow of what I'm interested in and not feeling restricted to oh, I have to do this, because a lot of the times when that happens, I've noticed that I tend to abandon the habit because I feel so restricted by it. And that usually happens because I'm putting my expectations are a lot higher than what I can commit to that habit. So for example, meditation, if I make it more than, even 10 minutes, then I'll abandon it. So something that I've been doing is my advice is to keep your habits realistic, make them 2 minutes, and also put into your habit of actually committing to filling this out every single day. And then actually in your habit tracker and in your daily habits, put in that you have to, and put your Artist of Life Workbook where you see it, and put it in where it'll be a reminder to you. So that's essentially the only difference I've had, and just making it a priority of actually filling it out. I'm actually really excited because I think this is the first time where I've actually filled out all 3 months in a row. If you look at my prior Artist of Life Workbook, at the end of the year, I tend to just fill it out, and then I do a flip through of how I filled it out. But I think there's a few months where I forget about it. There's that guilt, oh well, I'll do really well this time. And so it's just make it fun, make it something lighthearted, make it something that it doesn't take too much time, make it part of your like your habits that you already have, like your nightly routine that you already have, because I think that will make it easier to implement filling it out every single day. Another thing that I kind of implemented to make it kind of fun for me is, I think also adding stickers is super helpful to just like making it more artistic. So I know it's like an extra purchase you have to make, but I think like adding stickers for yourself and creating like an actual, making it a process, making it a fun process where you're excited to like add little, like maybe for your habit tracker, if you have a hard time with keeping up with your habits, keep your habit, if you have a hard time with the habit tracker, definitely keep your habits to like 1 or 3 habits or 1 or 2 habits, and then see how you do, or even 1 habit and see how you do, and then implement more habits as that habit is more concrete in your daily routine. Because essentially that's what habits are. We're essentially just like, that's why you want to keep it to like 2 to 5 minutes or 2 to 10 minutes at first, because then you're essentially just like incorporating, transitioning that habit into your daily routine, and you want to make that habit into something that you already do in the day. So let's say like you journal at night, so then implement before journaling or after, or make it part of your bedtime routine, where if you read at your bed, have your Artist of Life Workbook, so then you can implement like check off like what habits you've done during the day, and then like your mood or whatever you have in your monthly thing. But I would say like implementing stickers gets me, I'm more visual, so it gets me excited to fill it out and just like create more aesthetic and pretty things. I mean, even if you're not artistic, just getting stickers is an easier way if you're not someone that likes to draw little illustrations. But in February, I did, for the February highlights, I did add in like actual information, like actual highlights, or like, oh, this happened and then this happened and this happened. But also something new I was trying is pictures. So if it's easier, if you take a lot of pictures or implement more pictures into your month, and I think that could be a fun way to see like what things you were interested in during the month as your like your highlights. So I don't know, that's something you could try in 1 month, like adding pictures. That's definitely something I implemented in February, because into March, in my weekly breakdown, I added like 1 picture for the week. And that's another thing that maybe I've been doing a little differently, because I do add in like if I have appointments in the weekly breakdown, or I know in January I had a hard time going to work, and now I have Friday off, but I had a tendency of calling out like every other week, once a week. So then I was just like, hey boss, something that I have been doing differently that you might want to try is adding pictures, and I add like things that interest me. So if I like see quotes on Pinterest and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting and I want to write that down. And I mean, if you have the Artist of Life Workbook, you look at this, like if you're diligent with it, you look at it like every single day. So like having, and it also like shows you like what you've been interested in, what kind of gravitates you. I just like, and there's these stamps that I found on Amazon like 2 years ago, and like that kind of creating like different fonts in my weekly breakdown, I think it really helps. I write it in my own handwriting, and then I have like different like typology or typography or ways of writing things that I'm interested in. Like for instance, March goals, week 1, I said I started Joey Lott's course Manifesting Truth, that I Step 1, breath exercises first week. A question that came up during that week was, what can I learn about myself in this experience? And then a quote I got from my boss, I guess, that week that really like gave me confidence as a preschool teacher was, I wrote that down. So, and then like learning new things about yourself. So I mean, for me personally, self-development and learning about myself is very important to me. It always has been as a kid. So I wrote, if I learned something new about myself, so like that week I was like, oh, compliments feed my motivation. So like words of affirmation is like one of my love languages. Not the only one, but it's one of my main ones. And so like I've noticed like when people compliment me, like especially at work, that I'm like, I work harder. Like I'm already a hard worker, but like I work harder because there's that recognition for your, and also in habits. That's another thing. In January 2024, I was trying to figure out how to keep up with habits, and one of the things is that people recommended is actually adding like little tiny, I don't know, I haven't found little tiny stickers, but finding like little tiny stickers for your habit tracker that gets you excited to like complete the habit. So that's just like something I was thinking about. I never got it because never got the stickers in time. With the main goals, another thing that I would recommend is actually to maybe fill out some of it, but then through the month, add what you're interested in. So like I added for February, I added that I wanted to do, because my Q1 goal was to study, wanted to learn figure drawing. So I put like study anatomy, so like the 3 points, you'll see with my flip through. But then I would add in like things that I was interested. So because my Q1 goal was figure drawing, then what came up for me was like Watts Atelier program. So I tried that out, decided I didn't like it, which is fine because it means sometimes you try things out and they don't work. And so that's a lot, like give yourself space to be like for instance, February, I tried out my habits and I did way too many. Like I filled out literally more than they had, and a lot of them I abandoned because they didn't work well with my routine that I already have in my day-to-day life. So that's why I say like add in, like give yourself like 2 to 5 minutes to do the habit, to implement the habit into your already concrete routine, so that it's easier. Maybe I shouldn't have like 10 habits in a month that I have to like complete, because I'll probably abandon them, you know what I mean? January, I only had 7 habits. And I completed them. For me personally, a lot of it is like quotes. I go on Pinterest a lot, I go on Tumblr, and I see quotes that inspire me, that motivate me, so I put them in. Use your Artist of Life Workbook as like your motivator too. Like you're looking at it, so like put in quotes. Like in January, right below my habit, I wrote consistency is more important than perfection, because I'm definitely a perfectionist, and if something doesn't go perfectly, I'm like, well, screw that, I'm not gonna do that. So like that's something like I have to fight myself. Obviously you can see I put an art portfolio and only literally did it 2 times in that month, because one of my goals was also to potentially go to art school, because this was in the beginning of the year, and then I realized, do I really need to go to art school to be an artist? No. But that was one of my goals this year, was like, oh, and it's in my bucket list to create an actual complete art portfolio, and so that's why I put it in. But again, you can see if you're not consistent with it, if you don't put it into your already daily day-to-day routine, it's going to flop. It's gonna be a flop. And that's also why I wanted to take like only work 4 days a week, because I'm doing an experiment where if I have that one day and then prioritize it as like, oh, I'm going to focus on art, or I have that one extra day in the week to actually focus on art, to actually like oh, I'm going to complete an actual art piece that I'm proud of, and then I want to add to a potential art portfolio, even if I don't plan to go to art school. But it's like, it is motivating to like have like a complete collection of your art pieces that you're proud of, you know? So that's why I had that habit. But you can see how if you're not strategic about it, or if you don't if you make the goal to have too high of an expectation for it, it's gonna flop. February with my habits, I went crazy. I don't know what I was on. And then March, I mean, kind of the same thing, where and then I decided to black out the parts I didn't like when I didn't do my habits, because I feel like it's easier to see visually for me, and it's more aesthetically pleasing. And a lot of my habits, like I put sketchbook. Well, I wanted to implement that because I was still working like a 5-day week, or like automatic writing, like I don't, and that's like for the spiritual folk, but that's like not every day. So like some of these habits are literally not every day, and it's like, it's your personal journey if like, oh, do I do this every single day, or do I have leeway? So it's like, if you look at it and you're like, oh, it's not all colored in, well, does it have to be all colored in? Or like one line a day, committed. It's this one, committed, because that one is just like literally a 5-year journal, and it's actually exciting to see how I started it last year. And then like gratitude daily affirmation, I don't do that every single day, but I've learned, like I've seen that when I do it, it actually helps my day, and I just more appreciate my day, and I also receive a lot more, like, I don't know, things happen to me when I do my gratitude journal in the morning, or daily affirmation in the morning, where I'm like, oh, like when I start my day already feeling good, gratitude, then good things happen to me. Like, it's stupid shit. Like a kid, when I'm a preschool teacher, so like a kid comes up to me and gives me a dime, and I'm like, it's the little things, okay? It's the little things. And then something I do is a daily tracker, and of course like all the low ones is when I had to go to work. All the high ones is on the weekends when I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's a funny realization where I'm like, okay. And then gratitude journal, this was March. So how I did this differently is, I mean, it's still a gratitude journal, but how I did it differently is I wrote things that I love about myself, which is still gratitude because it's appreciation for yourself, instead of like, oh, I'm grateful this happened, because I think in March and February that's what I did. And in February I was like, I'm grateful for the ability for free education and resources that are affordable to become a better artist, or I'm happy for the experience to spend and share an activity with my parents, because that was the time when my mom had me come over and we actually made borscht together. Anyway, I was like, I'm really excited to continue the habit of practicing art. I'm not gonna read all of that, but yeah. So January, February, I did more of a gratitude, and then March, I decided I wanted to do gratitude as like things I love about myself, because I'm still practicing loving myself, self-love. So it's like, and it's also getting to know yourself, like, oh, I like being in nature. Oh, I love learning even at 30, or I love that I'm a great photographer, or I love that I'm so imaginative, or I like analyzing symbols in art, or it just like, it was a way for me to appreciate myself, not in the like, I am grateful and thankful for, like, I wanted to like break out of that, because as you can see, my March was distraction, and see like my April goals, I don't have all of it filled out, like there's still a lot of space, and so I like to do that, because throughout the month I might change my mind. Like I said, I'm more in flow. Helps you to have, I don't know, maybe inspire you of how you want to complete your quarter one goals, or how you can commit to them. Instagram and just give you inspiration on completing your own Artist of Life Workbook for 2024. Anyway, toodles!